Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to RLCS Overtime, your one-stop shop for all things RLCS and Rocket League eSports. I'm your host, Wave Punk. Got a finable carpet, a Cal, the Shogun, and where is Quinn? We don't know. Left him somewhere on a train stop in New Jersey or something. I don't know. We got a Gibbs.
New Jersey, that's where I'm from. That makes no sense. It's so peaceful here without Quinn.
You put now 5 Quins together, you trade them in, and you get a Gibbs. What an upgrade we got.
Gibbs invited him out to New Jersey, and it's like, just here, take this train to the airport. And he just left him there. Good luck getting back.
See you, Quinn.
Yeah, less yelling, but hopefully no less disagreed. I want. This is going to sound like mildly stereotypical, but I want at some point for Shogun to disagree with someone and just be like, "Good day to you," and then when you start to like disagree, he's like, "I said good day."
Now, if you want real British disagreements, every single time someone who I disagree with starts talking, got to do what they do in Parliament.
Is that what they do?
Just completely drown them out. No. Just dip it.
Yeah, okay. That was a joke for all the British fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
North
America. It went over my head, but hey.
We can talk about the British jokes when we talk about Europe. Right now, we're going to talk about North America and what happened in week 2 here. Take a look at the standings. Cloud9 still crowning the top, one of the biggest undefeated teams right now. 3 undefeated teams. G2 Esports and Ghost only haven't played 1 game. So as far as people that have played a lot of games, it's Cloud9 right now. But NRG gets their first loss. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. Crazy stuff right now in North America.
Yeah, we have 3 undefeateds, 3 winless teams right now. So eventually these teams are going to start matching up against one another for some high quality Rocket League, some close games. So far we haven't seen that many close series in North America, but I assume they're coming shortly because the top are going to start battling the top and the bottom are going to start battling the bottom.
Yeah, really is the case right now of top 6 is an area to fight for, and top 2 are the areas to fight for. This doesn't seem to be like too close in that middle area. It's just 2 very set and distinct groups. Renegade's gonna be happy though. They took this entire week off. They kind of needed it after what was an awful opening week, so hopefully they'll bounce up really good this week coming up.
Yeah, we'll see them next week. Going to be competing against the other teams down there in the bottom. But moving forward to talking about who's hot and who's not here in North America, or who's spicy.
Excuse me,
Gibbs,
who's
why
spicy?
Why is it called Who's Spicy this week?
I have no idea.
You don't.
I've
you
just
totally
been saying
know.
lots of things about spice. James doesn't understand any of it, so
no one understands
I decided to just
any
keep
of
it going.
If it's not edible and in front of him and involving spicy
Gibbs,
food, he doesn't.
Speaking of who's spicy, what's your favorite type of pepper?
Favorite type of pepper? I'm just a simple man, like jalapenos.
What about hot sauce?
Up here.
What about hot sauce?
I'm setting you up here.
So, I
can
see
do
what
it.
he's smart. Ghost peppers.
The Ghost
are my
Peppers, thank you.
favorites.
Ghost right now. Very, very hot team. They defeated
buddy.
NRG this past week here. That one going to game 4, but Ghost able to get the victories there over the 3-time North American champions right now. Ghost doing it in big fashion, coming out in ways we were not expecting. Lethamir tweeting out, "Stop doubting us," in all caps after that game. It was crazy.
To be fair, they've played 1 game. So
yeah, they have, but this is the biggest one.
It is the biggest one, but let's not go all caps yet on my Twitter feed where Classics is throwing me under the bus, Lethamir saying stop doubting us. It's 1 game. Let's calm it down, Ghost.
Okay.
But they are looking really strong,
Okay.
obviously beating the North American champions. Classics had a really good showing. Maybe his first ever in RLCS, so hats off to you, Classics.
Ouch.
Hey, he was throwing lots of shade at me on Twitter, so I'm throwing it right back.
So
Fair enough.
If Ghost isn't the team that's hot for you, who's hot for you right now?
Well, also Cloud9. Cloud9 looks great. Like, even when they're playing not super well during the play-ins in week 1, probably like 50% Cloud9, but they still win. Now we're starting to see like 80%, 90%. We see Torment starting to shoot really well. We see Squishy not making those weird defensive mistakes. And, of course, our boy Shogun, Gimmick, just playing out of his mind.
I love it. Every single time Gimmick plays, me and Gibbs just sit here and just go, "Our boy, our boy, our boy." He's going to do it. He's going to be the best player.
When did he become your boy?
Once I watched him play.
Okay.
And now I was just like, yeah, he knows how to play. He's good at this video game.
Once you
Wow,
thought
you got
he
real
was
high
Squishy
standards
Muffins.
there, Shogun.
I play. Have you seen my standard of teammates throughout my life?
Fair enough.
I was with you last week.
So I was saying with Wave, like once Wave thought that Gimmick was Squishy, that's when Gimmick became my boy.
I like transferred the powers of Squishy.
Yeah.
Like
to be
spread that
fair,
around a
they are
bit.
kind of similar, but not that similar. Sure. So I'll give it to you because it was a long DreamHack
Yeah.
days, so that's fine.
That was a quality mistake. When you walk in, I'm like, oh dang it, I forgot to look at the little message where they told me who we're interviewing, and I actually don't know this person's face, so I'm just gonna have to straight up ask him right here. But you know, Ghosts get the defeat right now. It's Ghosts and Cloud9 are kind of hot right now, but NRG is a team that I've been building them up a lot. This is the team to beat right now. They've done it 3 seasons in a row. What is it with NRG right now? They get this loss against Ghost. Is this what? Talk to me about how big of a deal this loss was for them.
I mean, I don't think it's anything too massive, especially because their mentality the moment they had that loss, when Jacob was tweeting out like, It's how you deal with the losses and bounce back is what makes a truly good team. Because again, if you've watched Rocket League at all these last 3 seasons, now coming on 3.5, anything happens constantly, and it's really, a lot of it turns into mentality. Like, I don't want to give a percentage, but a huge chunk of how a team performs is based on, are they intimidated by their opponents, do they think they can perform, and do they think they're good enough? And you watch just a lot of teams fall to either thinking they're too good or not thinking they're good enough. So I think that's a huge thing for NRG. As big of a win as it is for Ghost, I don't think NRG should really chalk it up to anything too nuts. They're still 3-1. They're still in a great place to just move into playoffs, and they've always been one of the most online consistent teams. So a single win isn't really anything that you should be writing a team off for. But I think Ghost needs to be careful if they let that get to their heads too much. Then they will struggle next week.
I agree, and they bounced back against Rogue later on in the day. And there was a lot of the mistakes that I know you and I, Gibbs, were talking about. Like, we're seeing 2 people back on the back line of the goal, not really, spacing out well on the defense. Didn't seem to have those same similar problems against Rogue. Do you think that they're going to have? Was there any big weaknesses we saw that other teams could exploit moving forward, or was this a fluke for NRG?
So this team's been together for 2 seasons now, and they've never had a perfect league play. So they know how to bounce back from losses. I will assume during the week they will adapt and figure it out. And Jacob will not play with me, so he won't get any bad habits throughout the week. And they will bounce back because they're a team that doesn't even have to finish top 2. They can just make a playoff run. Obviously, everyone wants to finish top 2, so they have the World Championship spot. And they're still in a great spot for it. But they have some big games coming up. They got, of course, Cloud9 and G2 later on in the season. So they need to fix it, but it's not too hard of a fix, I think. I think it's just about being consistent on that day. Because week 1 even, they weren't very consistent. They played Emotion, and they played them pretty poorly. But luckily for them, they were playing Emotion. So they still got the win because Emotion's kind of a little bit lower of a tier. So we'll see going forward, but I expect them to be at the top once again.
Now, one of the other big stories here in North America is Rogue. One of the top 2 teams from last season. They were able to get the automatic qualification for Season 4, and they switched out Turtle for Insolence, and the question has always been, how does Insolences fit into this offense here? And we got to see them in great fashion going up against FlyQuest at the beginning of week number 1. I was impressed with what I saw from Insolences. I had a lot of questions about him coming in, but he definitely showed up to that day.
Yeah, I love actually where they've got him positioned in this squad. They've set him up as the assists guy. It's his job to carry the ball downfield and get it into a position for either Sizz or Matt to come in with a goal, which is a smart idea. Once Genesis started to break down last season and really struggled with actually not even communicating, but also with team play, Insolences used himself as that guy to pick the ball, go for a dribble downfield, and then just do whatever he wanted. Now Rogue are taking advantage of that skill.
We see Matt and Sizz, 2 of the best shooters right now in North America. Sizz has really improved, and Matt has always been there. He's always been in the conversation for one of the best in North America. And that was the problem with Insol of last season. You put it perfectly. With Genesis, too much passive play from Classics and Chrome, so Insolences would do all this work, bring the ball up the field, and then there's no one to pass to. Now, Matt and Sizz are always right there for these passes.
And a lot of times when I was casting them, too, it didn't feel like Insol always knew where to be, and granted, they were able to bounce back from a lot of those mistakes, but it would still happen 5 or 6 times in a single match where I would see Insol thinking like he knows he should be somewhere, and then Sizz or Matt are there. I think maybe just because they've got a lot of muscle memory of working together. I'm like, oh, I know Matt's going to pass it out in the front. I know I can be there. Think Sizz. But Insol's like, well, I was in a place to take that too.
Sure.
So every now and then there's a little bit of a breakdown in communication, but obviously not enough for them to just fully lose games by massive margins. But I think that is something they're going to need to clean up throughout the season, because if that keeps happening, especially as teams get tighter and a little more punishing, they're really going to feel it in the later weeks.
Yeah, and I feel like it's as much on Matt and Sizz as is on Insol when you're having these transitional mistakes. So we've seen a lot, especially in week number 1, we were seeing consistently that they get the clear out, and then all 3 players at the midfield line moving over into enemy territory, and that was leaving them open on the back line. And part of that's on Insol to not be forcing himself. And I felt a lot of the double commits I were seeing were Insol plus one other player, which is you want to kind of look at Insol and be like, it's your fault then because you're the one who's clearly double committing all the time. But it's just as much on the other 2 players to be coordinating. And I think that they're in a good position moving forward right now.
Yeah, right now they look like a playoff team, just probably not top 2. They've lost to the 2 of the big 3 so far. They still have to play G2, I believe. And they're just kind of right where we kind of expected them to be. A lot of people actually had them around 7th, but they are beating those teams on the lower end. So as long as they get one more win, they're probably guaranteed one of those quarterfinal matchups in the regional championships.
Absolutely. So looking over at the other league here for North America, the Rocket League Rival Series. Take a look at the standings and how they look after their few weeks of league play here. Fibian, the team that we were expecting to have in the RLCS, still sitting high and pretty up on top, 3-0. And we also have Invantic doing well, and Radiance, the 3 undefeated teams there. Radiance, formerly set to destroy, got dropped by the org there, or left that org, and now they are here back as Radiance. Premature Superhero Cops also rounding out the top 4.
Yeah, and right now you see Radiance, they haven't dropped by the org, but this has probably been the best I've seen them play in quite a while. No longer that team that sits back, a much more complete rotation. It's a team that's still getting used to it. A lot of very weird mistakes made at times, but they're looking solid. I'm looking forward to seeing them over the next few weeks, see if they can really challenge the Fibians of that league.
Yeah, Fibian definitely looking like the top dog there, and we're excited to see. We're all hoping that they are able to stay in that top 2 in the rival series and compete for that spot in the RLCS that we expected them to have this week, or in this season here. Maybe they'll be there for season 5. But that does it for our recap of week number 2. Looking forward to week number 3 and what games are on the docket here for the Rocket League Championship Series. We'll start off the day with Allegiance versus Renegades. You'll notice Renegades is playing Allegiance and FlyQuest over there on match 5. So the battle of the bottom, the guys going to be trying to get the wins off of each other, differentiate themselves out of that bottom 6, and then also Cloud9 going to be taking on 2 undefeated teams.
I think Ghost against Cloud9, that is going to be the real opportunity to show the world stop underestimating us. And even if they don't take that series, if they can bring that to game 5, game 4, keep those games close, overtime games, then people will stop underestimating them, right? It's like, okay, now you've shown us that you've got the skill, but that series right there is one that I think they should take as heavily as possible, because that will make all the other teams keep an eye out for them and start realizing, like, oh, we really got to worry about Ghost.
My other favorite series of the day is Cloud9 versus Renegades. We had Renegades starting off with not the best opening, and G2 has only played against Renegades. That's their 1 win. So this will be the biggest chance that G2 has to show that they are really supposed to be in that top 2 we're kind of expecting them to be.
And now, plus, every single week, we are getting 6 games per week instead of 5. And all these games look so good because there's so many battles of those winless teams, battles of the undefeated. So we're really going to start to see some separation in North America. Plus, this pick'em week for North America is going to be really tough to call with all these teams so close.
Absolutely. But that will do it for our North American recap. We're going to take a quick break here on Overtime. But when we come back, we're going to talk about Europe. Some crazy things happened. If you missed it this weekend, you'll want to hear what we've got to say about it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.